Good evening, Dr. Ritu Santwani. Good evening, Professor Dr. G. Venkatramana, and good evening, all the lovely participants. Inoke welcomes you all for today's webinar series, and today's topic of discussion is Gynec Obstetrics Practice HIV at Dr. Ritu Show. Myself, Harish Mehta, working as a marketing manager in Inoke company, and it's my privilege to introduce both the doctors. Dr. Ritu Santwani, MBBS, MD, obstetric and gynecologist. She is an IVF specialist. Dr. Ritu Santwani is 20 years veteran of obstetric and gynecological services. Dr. Ritu Santwani specializes in test tube baby and each and every aspect of infertility and provides a comprehensive services in IUI, IVF, ICSI, assisted hatching, egg donation, embryo donation, surrogate motherhood, male infertility, natural infertility treatment, semen banking, embryo freezing, sexual and psychological problems, and try to give moral and emotional support to our infertility patients. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now it's time to introduce our today's Pundit. Today's Pundit is Dr. G. Venkatramana. Dr. G. Venkatramana is a MBBS MD Venereology. Dr. G. Venkatramana is certified sex therapist practicing in Hyderabad and has experience of 37 years in this field. Dr. G. Venkatramana is WHO fellow twice in STDs and AIDS. He is a council member of Asia-Oceania Federation of Sexology. He is associate editor of Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy. Dr. G. Venkatramana is a president, Telangana State IADVL. Dr. G. Venkatramana is a president of Indian Anthropo Society and secretary of CSEPI. Dr. G. Venkatramana is a Golden Lamp Award in the field of the Indian sexology. He is a member of Indian Association of STD and HIV and AIDS. Welcome, sir. And this webinar is organized by the Inoke Life Sciences Company from the makers of eDrive and eDrive C. Now, not taking too much time, just hand over the session to Dr. Ritu Santwani. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Harish, for kind words and very warm welcome, Venkatraman sir. Sir, first of all, we are very much thankful to you for accepting our invitation. As friends, all of us know that today is a Guru Purnima. So I want to start with 2 lines, sir. These are devoted to you also. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Parameshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma. Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. So, sir, a very warm welcome to you on this very auspicious day of the Guru Purnima. So, yeah.
Everybody, we should respect our Gurus. We should remember our Gurus on this day.
Yes, sir. So, as all of you friends know, today is our 9th show of the Pundit and Dr. Ritu show. After the super success of all this show, today again we are having one more stalwart with us, Dr. G. Venkatraman. So, as all of you know, in this show, I interview the people whom I learn from, whom I admire. So, as all of us know, that knowledge is always increases by sharing. So, today again, we are going to discuss a very interesting topic with a very practical sessions and take home carry messages on the topic of this obs and gynec practice and the HIV. So, we are very much grateful to you, sir, that you have accepted our invitation. Sir, now after this session, I will definitely going to request to you for the another session for the STDs and in the obs and gynec practice because our show is 30 minutes. So there are a lot of questions also we are getting from the participants also. So without wasting time, I am going to start the session. So, sir, we want to know the first query is that why the STD patients are more prone for the HIV infection?
Because the STDs, though majority will be asymptomatic, predominantly manifest in the form of genital ulcers, genital growths, and discharges. These ulcers and discharges will have inflammation as in the pathogenesis of the ulcer and discharge. Whenever there is an inflammation, the cells that are dealing with inflammation like Langerhans cells, the CD4 cells, these things will be recruited there with an activated phase to deal with the infection locally. When these people are repeating the same sexual behaviors, there is almost 2 to 3 times more chances of getting HIV infection because the CD4 is readily available there on the ulcer site or the discharge site. Langerhans cell is very much available. So virus because of the break in the epithelium, because of the ulcers, readily enters here and takes into the path into the CD4 cell. That's why they are more readily prone than the people who are not having HIV, STD infections.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Sir, now the very important query, does the HIV infected people, it causes some sexual dysfunction? As the persons are approaching to you who are infected by HIV having some sexual problems? Sir, please elaborate for both,
Yes,
for
yes.
the male and female.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
These sexual HIV people, this group,
Yeah.
yes, around 30 to 40% of people will suffer with sexual dysfunctions. We did a study when I was in service working in Usmania Medical College. We did a study also regarding this.
Okay.
Some people, just because of the diagnosis itself, Mr. XYZ, you are HIV positive. Miss XYZ, you are HIV positive. That diagnosis itself will take off their desire and they will go into nihilistic attitude and they don't have any interest over the sex and they are in the form of anxiety, depression. They will go into psychological factors. Some people will develop sexual dysfunctions because of the HIV disease itself. When the people who are in the process of acute HIV infection, asymptomatic infection, early symptomatic phase, late symptomatic phase, then this HIV disease itself will produce reduced hormone levels in the body, and it takes care because of opportunistic infections. It takes care, blocks the neuronal and vascular supply to the genitalia. As a result, the patients will develop sexual dysfunctions. The commonest being wasting, AIDS wasting syndrome, where the people lose a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And people will develop testosterone deficiency, particularly males.
Okay.
Almost documented 1/3 of the male patients will develop testosterone deficiency. At the same time, increase in sex hormone binding globulin that binds the available testosterone, so the less testosterone is available in the body for that patients. And another reason is the treatment what we use for HIV infections, particularly protease inhibitors, they will interfere because of their metabolism in the liver. They will interfere with the metabolism of the testosterone, and they will increase again sex hormone binding globulins. And even if you treat them with a sildenafil citrate, these drugs, protease inhibitors, will again interfere with that metabolism. And the physician who is treating them has to be very knowledgeable because of the drug-to-drug interactions between HIV treating drugs and the sexual dysfunction drugs. That's why this is a common problem in the HIV patients. Majority because of HIV disease and then HIV drugs. Some few people will develop psychologically because of the fear and anxiety about the diagnosis itself.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So, friends, today we are taking all the very practical questions what we are getting in our day-to-day practice. So, my other query, usually once the HIV positive patients approach us, they ask first that can they still have sex, and which sex is safer for them? Is the penovaginal penetration or the oral sex or the anal sex?
When the patient is HIV positive,
Mm.
all types of penetrative sexual intercourses are risky. Though anal penetrative sex is more risky than vaginal, vaginal is more risky than oral, but all are having some amount of risk. In order to reduce that risk, always better use condom.
True.
That's number 2. Limit the partners. That is another way to reduce it.
Yes.
Use the treatment, HIV treatment, regularly, correctly. as per the expert guidance. So by these three, we can reduce the chances of infection going to their sexual partners.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So the other query is the incidence like is this that the gays who are in the relationship, is the chances of the HIV or the risk of HIV is more in them?
Yes, because of the receptive anal intercourse and because of the penetrative anal intercourse, the anus is not naturally designed for the sex.
Okay.
Now, because of the sex, the tiny mucous membrane gets teared easily. As a result, infection chances will be more. The prevalence rate will be very high in that subgroup, in the MSM group.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, my other question is the female who has means these days it's very common scenario. The young couples are approaching us. Some are staying in the live-in relationship, or some with the girlfriend and boyfriend. There's a one question we got on the WhatsApp. The female who has done the sexual intercourse with a guy, later on the reports have come that the guy is HIV positive. Now the girl has a query that what are the chances of becoming her infected, but she is saying the boy has not ejaculated the inside.
Ejaculation, okay, not ejaculated, fine.
Yeah.
What is the abrasion? The sexual intercourse is a friction between the two mucosal membranes, penile mucosal membrane and vaginal mucosal membrane. Each, definitely every sexual intercourse will have minor abrasions. Through these minor abrasions, even the few drops of exchange of blood is there, or sexual fluid. Not ejaculation is entirely different. Pre-cum, before ejaculation, the Cowper's gland and other urethral glands will secrete a droplet of infection for the lubrication purpose. Even that also contains the viruses. So it is not a 100% risk-free job. There is a risk is there.
Yes.
If this would have happened within 24, preferably within 6 hours, this girl takes a regime called post-exposure prophylaxis. PEP, PEP.
Okay.
If she takes that, there will be a good amount of protection for her.
Okay.
Taking this regime after 72 hours is of no use.
Okay. So please enlighten us
now,
a little more
because
about
this would have happened long back.
Yeah.
Now we have to evaluate this girl.
Yeah.
Not only for HIV, all the sexually transmitted diseases.
True.
Because boy is now only HIV positive. What are all the asymptomatic diseases he is having? So what are all the things that the girl likely to go? So then counseling, and plus she needs vaccination for preventable diseases. There are 2 preventable STDs, particularly HPV and HBsAg, hepatitis B virus.
Yes.
These 2 can be vaccinated so that the girl won't suffer hereafter, even after repeating the same behavior.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Agreed, sir. So that's why, sir,
can see.
Yes, sir. That's why, sir, we are promoting this Gardasil brand of the cervical cancer vaccine, which is covering this human papilloma virus also. Yes, sir. Quadrivalent, sir.
Nanovalent is the best.
Sir, nanovalent is still not available in India. Still, it will take some time. So nanovalent is still not available.
Not available in India. Available in European countries.
Yes, sir.
Because this quadrivalent will cover up to 90% of risk.
True.
6, 11, 16, 18. 4 serotypes are covered. Where 90% of malignancies caused by HPV will be covered. Whereas the nanovalent, which cover other serotypes, total 100% coverage of HPV will come by nanovalent.
Yes, 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 sir. Yes, sir. We are waiting for that only, sir. Ki once it will come.
Yes.
Yeah. Sir, there is one question from the live chat I am taking. That is from Dr.
Mhm.
Srinivas Devra Shetty. Is asking if the wife and husband both are positive for HIV, is the condom is must?
Yes, it's a must because
Hmm.
the viral replication in a husband and the viral replication in a wife will be different. One may be a good controller, elite controller with drugs or without drugs. One may not have that good control. If condom is not used, the not controlling viruses from one partner will shift to the other partner. Unnecessarily, the elite control will be spoiled. That's why always better use condom unless they are under PCR viral load is well under control. If their viral load is well under control, today the science has proved that undetectable viral load is untransmittable sexually.
Yes.
Unless that is there, the condom is better to use.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So there is one more question by Dr. Reddy, Vijay Bhaskar Reddy. He is asking an unmarried man with genital warts since 1 month. Any use of Gardasil vaccine now?
Gardasil vaccine doesn't prevent warts. Gardasil vaccine is mainly for the prevention of the cancer, future cancers. This genital warts are not only caused by 6, 11, 16, 18, many other serotypes do cause. Particularly venereal warts, that is condylomata acuminata, where some amount of protection will come because of this vaccine, because all genital warts are caused by 6, 11, maximum 16. Since already this patient genital warts, what Dr. Vijay Bhaskar Reddy is referring is condylomata acuminata, then even then it is worth giving so that the future cancers can be protected.
Yes.
For this purpose, for this episodic purpose, is of no use.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Here I want to add one point. Similarly, na, sir, last week only we have done a very excellent webinar on this. I have spoken on the cervical cancer vaccination only. So there is a one very common query there. Is the Gardasil vaccine can we give to the previous HPV patient infection? So of course, if the patient has suffered from previous HPV infection, even the SIN one, all the recent guidelines from the FOXI and GCPCR all suggest that even the patient is having suffered from SIN, we have to give Gardasil. Yeah. So there is one more question.
Excellent result before starting the sexual activity.
Yes. Huh.
But all the more, nonetheless, every sexual active woman and boy, girl, man, woman, everything should be covered so that we can be protecting them from cancers.
Yes, sir. 9 to 45 years of the age is recommended by WHO for Indian government. Yes, sir. So the other question, sir, I will take from here. Yeah. So, sir, there is one more question, sir. What are the chances of the becoming infected once the lady is pregnant? How much is the chances of transmitting the infection to the baby? Pregnant lady suffering from HIV.
Various countries.
Yes.
Lot of countries have done this. A huge number of studies are. This is the problem. Pregnancy and HIV transmission has been studied enormously, and it is particularly in the developing countries like India, African countries, and South Asian countries. It is said around 20 to 45%, on average 30% is the risk for them. This again they subdivided into without breastfeeding, with breastfeeding, delivery by cesarean or delivery by vaginal delivery. Based on this split, in India, our Indian government and the NACO is advocating vaginal delivery unless some problem is there. It is vaginal delivery de novo with breastfeeding. The risk is around 30 to 35%.
Yeah, thank you so much.
This 30 to 35% risk, again, major is during the labor, around 50 to 60%.
Yes.
Around 20% during pregnancy, remaining during breastfeeding.
Feeding. Yeah. Sir, there is one more question. He is my very dear friend, Dr. Kariman Ghazal from Lebanon. He always joins from Lebanon. Huh? So, sir, he is asking,
Good.
now we have the guidelines for the diagnosis and treatment for the infection of HIV when we have the HIV pregnancy in our first trimester, 5 weeks. What will be the advice for pregnancy to continue or for termination?
For medically, from our side, there is no need to terminate. And today, the whole world is following test and treat policy.
True.
Whomsoever comes to us, we have to test. If positive, give counseling, start treatment immediately. So, going for MTP is a patient choice. It's not the doctor's choice. Yeah, doctor's choice is test and treat every patient.
Right. Yeah.
Test and treat.
Yeah.
Patient side, if something, say, from genetic abnormalities is there, our patient is grossly anemic, our patient is simultaneously suffering with cancer, simultaneously she is an immune suppression because of other reasons. If such things is there, yes, we can advocate from medical side. Otherwise, it is purely the patient's decision.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. Sir, there are some more questions. Sir, this is some anonymous question. Anonymous is sending. Sir, the question is, the wife is positive and husband is HIV negative. So what are the chances of getting of infection in the child? The question is, wife is positive. Wife is positive.
Wife positive, husband negative.
Negative. Yes, sir.
This is very easy because wife positive wants to become pregnant.
Yeah.
So it is happily you can do intra so that she will become pregnant.
Yeah.
Before pregnancy itself, since she is positive, you have to start the treatment, heart therapy, anti-HIV drugs therapy, and see that she will reach the undetectable viral load. Once she reaches the undetectable viral load, the chances of going to the fetus will be very, very minimal. So at that stage, she becomes pregnant, continue the same treatment. In India, we are doing vaginal delivery. If she is afford, we can go for cesarean section so that 2% risk reduction will be there.
Yeah.
In India, NACO advocates breastfeeding compulsory at least first 6 months. So during breastfeeding, immediately after delivery, the child is an exposed child to the HIV.
Yeah.
That's called exposed child, not manifested. This child has to be given a prophylaxis of nevirapine single dose per day for 6 weeks.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Then,
sir, similarly, the others.
Then after 6 weeks,
yes, sir. Please continue, sir. Sir,
after 6 weeks, we have to test the baby with the PCR DNA whether it is infected or not.
Yeah.
If not infected, repeat the test after 18 months so that the antibodies from the mother are washed off. Then again test it and declare that the infant is not infected. In the first, after 6 weeks, in the first initial early diagnosis stage itself, if the baby is infected, repeat the test and start the anti-HIV treatment so that the baby will grow normally, doesn't develop any serious opportunistic infections and serious AIDS-defining illnesses. That's how the management goes.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So similarly, the scenario, if wife is negative and husband is positive.
Yeah, now this is a little bit difficult, and not that difficult, but since the wife is negative, if the couple are accepting, you can go for a donor semen. Happily, she can become pregnant, give natural delivery, normal birth, no chance of infection. If they insist on husband's semen, then you will be coming to rescue them, doing a seminal wash and taking the sperms and injecting. Or if that also the couple are not willing, then we can give treatment to the wife called pre-exposure prophylaxis. Today, the scientific studies have given a lot of advanced to such an extent that the people, this is called serodiscordant couple. One couple positive, one negative is called serodiscordant couple. In the previous case also, this case also. In this case, since husband is positive, wife negative, wife will be treated with HIV medicines. Husband is already on treatment, and see that the husband is undetectable viral load. Then a wife with serodiscordant wife with a pre-exposure prophylaxis, we will be allowing the normal vaginal sexual intercourse at the time of ovulation, so that she will become pregnant. The chances of infection will be 0 to her, or very, very minimal. Then follow her through the pregnancy, through the antenatal period for PCR DNAs, and then manage. Most of the times, as the literature says, if the husband is undetectable and wife is unprepped, there is no chance of infection. Even my personal experience also, no chance of infection. And Dr. Manier and Gilada Saple from Mumbai, they are having huge series. They are having almost thousands of patients. They are also, their version is also, this is the way they will manage with the least chances of infection.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. And sir, in the scenario when both are positive, when husband and wife both are positive.
Excellent. Then no more grudge and grouse. Since both are positive, the only thing is they should use the medicine strictly, correctly, consistently, so that the virus become undetectable in both of them. Once it is undetectable, then management is easy for the antenatal period and for the during labor and breastfeeding period. The only thing is they should reach the undetectable.
Sir, here I want to add one point. Sir, so many patients approach us, ki ma'am, if we are HIV positive, can you do the IUI and give us the sure shot guarantee that the baby will not be infected? Sir, so in these kind of patients, once we are doing the semen wash, we are usually doing the triple wash. But even though on the papers, we are not giving the 100% guarantee. Triple wash we are doing, that is reducing the viral load, but not 100% assurity we can give. Thank you so much, sir.
And if the husband is undetectable level, then sperm wash will give good results.
Sir, but
at the same time, today, today we are treating the wife with the PrEP also, another coverage. So that will take care of.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, there is one query. If the patient has just recovered from corona, now he is having a feeling to go for the sex. So, what do you think? How much it is safe?
No, it's because recently from the Wuhan studies, from China studies are clearly showing the persons who recovered from the corona, though the blood is PCR, RT-PCR is negative, showing negative, the virus is detected in the semen up to 8 weeks. That's why it's not wise, though the guidelines are not there, but it is not wise to allow them for direct sexual intercourse. Up to 8 weeks, always with the protection. Use the condom correctly. Since we don't have any experience, this is a recent one. This corona is hardly 6 months old. And the first country that is affected, China, studies from that country is showing that the semen contains this coronavirus up to 6 to 8 weeks. So having known that, it's always a wise decision not to go for direct sex, use condom.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, now if the patient who is already suffering from HIV, now if he is getting the corona, so what do you think? How will be the condition? Will worsen, and how much is the
HIV and getting corona?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If the patient is on treatment, disease well under control, CD4 is around 500 and above, is almost as a normal non-HIV patient as far as corona is concerned. If the CD4 count is around 250 and below 250, yes, the risk increases for them because of the decreased immunity. As a result of low CD4 counts, the people will have a lot of opportunity infections, respiratory infections, gastrointestinal infections. As a result, these patients are more prone for complications in corona. But recently, 2 to 3 studies are there where these patients who are on treatment with tenofovir and emitricitabine, these are the 2 drugs that we commonly use for the treatment of HIV infection. So those patients who are on treatment of tenofovir and emitricitabine, luckily these patients are showing good tolerance towards the coronavirus. This needs still a lot more studies, but this is the observation, early observation that came just 7 days back. One paper has been published there in the journal that clearly shows HIV patients who are on treatment with tenofovir and emitricitabine are having good tolerance for coronavirus. At the same time, people who are having good control over the infection, say undetectable level or CD4 above 500, there is no any increased chance of any complications. They are as good as normal patients as far as corona is concerned.
Thank you so much, sir. So there is one question by Dr. Reddy. He is asking, is there any role of viral load in pregnant women to predict the risk in future newborn? So shall I repeat the question?
Yes, viral load is a must.
Yeah.
Viral load is a must. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Viral load is a must because undetectable viral load will have undetectable or low transmission to the infant. So maintaining the undetectable viral load is a must, that you will have good outcome. If the mother is pregnant mother is having detectable viral load, the chances will be high for the infant. That's why beforehand itself, say for example, if the woman has come or the couple has come saying that, doctor, yes, though we are positive, we are planning to raise a family, then it is the treating physician, HIV physician, he has to counsel them and see that give appropriate potent regime, heart regime, and observe that the wife's viral load is undetectable. Then only better to allow her to become pregnant so that we'll have a normal, healthy child after following the PPTCT protocols.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if straight away the patient is coming to you with pregnancy and on treatment, but the viral load is not under control, the risk will be there for the infant.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, please enlighten us about this undetectable and untransmittable infection for the HIV.
Yeah, that is a recent concept, and that has paved way for the many things, many good things for the HIV. Recently in 2018 CROI meetings at Amsterdam, this was presented. People who maintain undetectable viral levels, they have proved beyond doubt they are not transmittable sexually, not other routes. It is sexual route only. They have studied only the sexual route, and they came out saying that it is, that is called U is equal to U. Undetectable is untransmittable.
Okay.
So those patients who are able to maintain their viral load undetectable, then we can have direct sex, and the chances of going to the partner is zero, negligible. That's why we are allowing those patients in the what you call wife negative, husband positive scenario.
True.
We are allowing them to make a wife pregnant.
Okay.
So this is the one recent concept that has come. and this is the one that making the new cases coming down in the society also. Treatment as prevention, that is another concept. Treatment as prevention.
Okay.
The more number of patients we treat, the more number of patients become undetectable, the chances of infection in the community will come down. So no new infections will come down. That's why the epidemic is slowly getting down, now well under control. Though not eradicated, well under control.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, there is one more question in the chat box we are getting from Dr. Reddy. He is asking, is there any role of viral load in pregnant women to predict the risk in future newborn? I think sir has just answered. It's the same.
Yeah, this we answered.
No, again he has written along with the thanks. Already the same question. Yeah. Sir, I am getting some questions as you are the sex expert here. Now, these are not related to HIV, but if you permit me, I will take these questions for 5. Sir, there is one question. The doctor wants to know the role of DHEA for the treatment of female sexual dysfunction.
The entirely different aspect.
Entirely DHEA. Different because some different questions have come. Yeah.
DH, because testosterone is the one that is responsible for sexual desire, both male and female.
Yeah.
DHEA is a precursor for the testosterone. That's why some people use DHEA, but the only thing is, before using, the person should have what you call testosterone deficiency has to be established. Then only it will be useful.
Sir, but sir,
otherwise,
is it any data? Number one. Sir, any data
number two,
is there? Any data is there in support of that, sir, for DHEA for sexual dysfunction? Sir, what we infertility specialists we are using data? For the sir, because we infertility specialists, what we are using DHEA for increasing the AMH. And sir, yes, please, sir, enlighten us for the sexual dysfunction. Yeah.
Because DHEA directly won't produce any won't cure any sexual dysfunctions. It is a precursor for testosterone. It has to convert into testosterone. That testosterone has to convert into dihydrotestosterone. That should act in the brain and to produce sexual desire. DHEA directly don't have any action.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So again, there is
DHEA nowadays, along with vitamins, along with the trace elements, it is promoted as a food supplement, nutritional supplement.
True. Sir, because yesterday only we have one debate also, the role of DHEA in the menopausal ladies. So, sir, because for this increasing AMH, we are giving from the dose from 25 up to 75 mg. So, but still we are not having a sufficient data to use this in menopause for this, for AMH, there are a lot of data. Yeah. So there is one more question. Yes. Sir, this is also not related to HIV. He wants to know, doctor wants to know regarding this female aphrodisiac diet.
Female aphrodisiac diet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, sir.
There is no diet like aphrodisiac diet. It was a misnomer. When the science was not developed in the 18th century, 17th century, people used to think that fruits, vegetables, which are like a shape of genitals, like a penis, like vagina, like breast. So those things, they presume that by taking them, by eating that food, and they get regenerated. That's how the Aphrodite diet has come.
Okay.
Scientifically speaking, nothing like it is the only interested and interesting partner. Interested and interesting partner. These are the good aphrodisiacs. Otherwise, nothing like aphrodisiac diet.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So there is one more question by Dr. Satnarayan Reddy. But I'm not getting what he has written. Teratotoxicity of
What did
Sir, it is written, sir, in the chat box. You can see, sir. Sir, the teratotoxicity of ART and indications for MTP. But for what concern he is asking?
yeah, I couldn't understand that.
Acha, okay.
Teratotox, that is Dr. Allah Satyan Reddy. He is also a gynecologist, a
Acha.
famous gynecologist and sexologist.
Okay.
Oh, he is a very good Romba practitioner.
Okay.
The teratotoxicity of ART is every effective drug will have side effects. That is addictive. Every effective drug will have side effects. So, in the HIV treatment, if there are any side effects, that side effect should not become hindrance, should not interfere with the fetal development. So, any drug that is interfering with the fetal development is called teratogenicity or teratotoxicity. Now, the common drugs which we are using known to produce teratotoxicity is efavirenz and of late dolutegravir. Efavirenz is now proved beyond doubt it is not teratogenic in human beings. It was seen only in the laboratory animals. Regarding dolutegravir, this is a recent addition, latest drug. This is also known to produce neural tube defects. That too more in the animal studies and not yet proved in the human studies. One study which has proved it's only 0.2 to 0.5%. That's why even we don't want to take that percent risk also. That's why we are not using dolutegravir, particularly in the pregnancy and HIV. We are treating them with other medicines. The commonest medicine which we are using is tenofovir, emtricitabine, and efavirenz. Tenofovir, lamivudine, and efavirenz. If the pregnant patient is already exposed to efavirenz or nevirapine single dose therapy, then we will be going for PI Resemcel with lopinavir and ritonavir.
Yeah.
I think that will satisfy the Dr. Satyanarayana Reddy's question.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, there is also one question that is also not related to HIV. The doctor is asking regarding the treatment of syphilis in pregnancy.
Now, repeat the question. Voice breaking.
Yes, regarding the treatment of syphilis in pregnancy. Syphilis.
Hello?
Syphilis in pregnancy, sir.
Hello?
Huh, sir, I'm not audible to you?
Voice breaking. Syphilis and pregnancy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Syphilis is a 70% Syphilis is 70% treatable problem, curable problem. If not detected early, that will play havoc with the pregnancy.
True.
It is notorious for the abortions, premature births, congenital infections. All these things can be 70% preventable by diagnosing the syphilis early in the motherhood only. 70% preventable with injection benzathine penicillin. It is totally avoidable. The only thing is the treating physician has to be very vigilant and has to screen for the syphilis. Not only for syphilis, every antenatal mother has to be screened for all sexually transmitted infections, including HIV. So that the only problem will come, it is not the fault of the healthcare provider. The problem will come, the patients straight away come to the doctor on the 9th month or just with the labor pains. That is the problem where we cannot evaluate them properly. If the prospective mother is coming regularly to the antenatal checkups, we will be doing all screening procedures in the first trimester, then at the third trimester. Then whatever comes positive, we'll be treating them, we'll be counseling them, will be giving proper advice and treatment.
Yeah. Thank you.
Today,
Hmm.
syphilis is 70% preventable.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So there are two more questions I will take before I wind up. Sir, this is on the chat box by Dr. Srinivas Kumar. Effect of COVID-19 on HIV patient who is in window period.
Effect of COVID-19 on
19
HIV patient
patient who is in window.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because in HIV window period, the virus is multiplying. And at this stage, patient's CD4 count is well above 500. That means the patient whose body, the HIV virus has entered his body, at the time of entry, the patient is robust, hale and healthy. It is like a normal person. If the patient is already, say, anemic, already suffering with diabetes uncontrolled, already suffering with some other problem, some nutritional deficiencies, then HIV entry and a virus multiplication, definitely that patient will have low CD4 counts. The risk will be mounted, risk will increase. It's all depends upon the patient's physical position. How is physical health before getting HIV and after getting corona? That will decide whether the patient is going to have which type of problems.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So there is one comment from Dr. Yajini. Madam is writing, small onion and garlic considered to be aphrodisiac, and many young widows are deprived of these two things in the diet. That's a comment. She has just commented, not a question, sir. Huh. So I think, sir, we will wind up here. Already we exceeded more than 20
The
minutes.
thing
sir.
is,
Yeah.
onion and garlic.
Huh.
This onion and garlic,
Hmm.
they are, as I told you, because of the shape, the onion shape, they are called as aphrodisiacs. These two are added to the food for reducing the cholesterol, for controlling provocating the insulin to release the insulin in the body. At the same time, to reduce the oxygen species, reactive oxygen species from the onion. And at the same time, onion contains good amount of sulfur that cleanses the system. No.
Yeah.
So these are all the food benefits from the using onion and garlic.
Garlic, yeah.
These things, because of the control of reactive species, increasing the insulin, controlling the lipids, the patient will develop more towards interest towards sex. When the patient, anybody, including me and you, anybody, any human being, once they are having good physical health, their mind automatically think of sex. So for that reason, in order to control that, in those days where the science was not developed, they used to stop it. And even if you take one particular race is there in India, Jain race, where they won't eat, these two things, not only these two, because they believe in Jiva Himsa, we should not kill anything. Ahimsa. So this onion garlic is also ahimsa, because we are taking out and taking the onions. That means we are killing that plant. That killing is not allowed in that particular sect. Like we are don't eat chicken, don't kill the lambs, don't kill this because of ahimsa. This is also a ahimsa, because we don't have any right to kill the plant. We have a right to take the fruits from the plant so that plant won't die. Whereas garlic and onion, we have to take out the plant to take these things. That means we are killing the plant. That's why this particular Jain sect won't take these foods. Not only Jain, in South India, some Brahmin sect is there where they won't eat these two. Those people who believe in the ahimsa. because they think that we have to take out the plant. That means we are killing the plant.
Yeah.
So they won't take this.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So there is one last question by Dr. Devrashi Shetty, writing, pregnant patient with HIV positive, with HBsAg positive, suffering with tuberculosis. How to manage?
Very, very complicated. This is definitely a real challenge to the treating physician.
Yeah.
Pregnancy with HIV plus added HBsAg positive.
Yeah.
All the more suffering with tuberculosis.
Yeah.
So this is a real challenge. Now that pregnant woman, since she is suffering with tuberculosis, she has to be started with anti-tuberculosis treatment. When we are starting with anti-tuberculosis treatment, her HIV medicines should contain two things. One, going well with the rifampicin regime. At the same time, patient is HBsAg positive, going well with the acting for hepatitis B virus also. In this critical scenario, her drugs should be again tenofovir, emtricitabine or lamivudine with efavirenz. Tenofovir, lamivudine, emtricitabine will work for hepatitis B also along with HIV. Adding efavirenz will go well with the tuberculosis regime. And the treating physician has to monitor this carefully, because this patient is more prone for immune inflammatory syndromes, IRIS, what you call IRIS, and the physician has to be very, very vigilant on this, and you have to counsel the patient to come regularly for frequent follow-ups, because to watch for any complications and to tackle them at the earliest, and to give as far as possible to give more healthy baby.
Yes. So thank you so much, sir, for your precious time and solving all the queries also. Though our show time is only half an hour, we extended more than 45 minutes. So thank you once again, sir. And thank you, Harish. Thank you, Dipenji. Thank you, Sankalp. And thank you, Novafol, for organizing such wonderful series. So before we wind up, friends, again on the next week, we are having with two eminent speakers with us. On Saturday, we are having Professor P.K. Shah with us. And on the Sunday, we are having the Dr. Sushma Bakshi Madam with us. So do join us on the coming Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, over to you, Harish.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Dr. Venkataramana and Dr. Ritu Santwani, for giving a valuable time on this topic, because this topic is like a majority of the people don't want to talk, and majority of the people are having this problem, but they never share this problem. So thank you so much, and thank you all the lovely participants. And this entire event is organized by the InnovaCare company and from the makers of eDrive and eDrive C, which you can prescribe in your male and female sexual dysfunction. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. We are winding up now today. Okay. Bye-bye. Stay safe. Stay healthy. See you next week, next Saturday, 9:30 p.m. sharp.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye. Take care.
Yeah. Bye.